Hello everybody, how you doing? I want to put together this video because probably the most important or pressing issue right now facing most libertarians, conservatives, or just what I like to call real Americans in my book is this concept of suicide or depression, or I should just say depression, because not everyone has been driven to the brink of suicide. But with I've been talking to a lot of friends, and I don't even have to talk to them. I can just see it, whether they're in person, whether they're on the internet. Pretty much all of Western civilization, not just the United States, but anyone who is pro-Western civilization, pro-freedom, pro-liberty, pro-capitalism, pro-America in the theological sense, they're down and they're depressed. And the reason why is there's this, not seemingly, there is this unstoppable movement towards socialism. The evidence most recently of which is the re-election of Barack Hussein Obama, and the Democrats gaining some seats in the Congress. You also see this happening in Britain when they go with the Labour Party, Australia, whatever it is, whether you're here in the United States or whether you're in former British colonies, which constitutes the majority of Western civilization, you see this movement, and no matter what we do, be it the Tea Party or whatever foreign counterpart the movements happen to be, it doesn't seem to stop. And it's not stopping. That's not your perception being wrong. It is happening. If you look at government spending as a percentage of GDP, you look at all of our social obligations in terms of social spending for the likes of Social Security and medical spending, it is true. There is a movement towards the left, and if you look at voting patterns, you look at demographic patterns of Western civilization, that's the way it's moving. And I frankly believe it's unstoppable. Now, this results in what you are accustomed to, what you identify with, if you're of Western culture, your Western civilization. You say, wait a minute, what was wrong with what we did before? And truthfully, there's nothing wrong. Matter of fact, it's the best shit that ever happened to the face of the planet. We even beat the Romans. Western civilization, no matter what diversity people will say, and whatever the left and pure enemies of Western culture will say, there is nothing that has been better for human civilization than Western culture. We brought about democracy, or the Republic. We brought about self-governance, Magna Carta, Constitution, all these things that are great. And you say, well, why are they so against us? It's because they are cheap political forces who don't appreciate individualism, rugged individualism, liberty, and independence. They want to be dependent. They are nothing more than the modern-day slave owners. They want to, via the government, via democracy, vote to have other people pay for their shit so they don't have to work for a living. And it is that simple. A lot of people, the left prides itself on being intellectual superiors, and they're not. It's very simple. They want to steal other people's money so they don't have to work real jobs. I have literally summarized Marxism, socialism, the Democrat Party, the Labour Party, all across the world, because this is not, it's nothing intelligent or grandiose or really deep thinking that they do. If there's any creativity or innovation on the left, it's to constantly concoct and create new rationalizations and atrocities and crimes that never really existed against them, that they then use to rationalize the confiscation of wealth and production of others. It really is nothing more than slavery of people who want to be rugged individualists and work really hard. Now, what you're seeing is, we're really at a juxtaposition, we're at a pivotal moment in the history of Western culture where a critical mass of the population has decided to start feeding upon itself and cannibalizing upon itself, where before it was like, yes, individualism, yes, let the individual rule, and we're going to go do things and get the government out of our lives, and the government is there to gosh, I don't even want to say keep things fair. It's just there to keep order and then let people do as they please. We're getting to the point where, as Out de Tocqueville predicted, that people will start to realize they can vote in politicians to take money from other people using the creative, innovative ways that, and rationalizations that leftists come up with to pay other people not to work. So this is a recent thing. This is like within the past several decades, and it wasn't mainstream until I'd say 2-3 decades ago, where it became very obvious that this is what was happening. So if you're my age, if you're anything older than 20, you were brought up under a different environment that was individualism, traditional, good old-fashioned US of A, let's go kick ass, I'm going to achieve my greatest, I'm going to do the best that I can, I'm not going to rely on anybody, as was intended by the forefathers. But in the past 250 years, now we have seen the switch. Now, as evidenced by the election of Barack Obama, you see the majority of people want to change that. They want to change it. So, especially if you have been brought up that way, you have lived your life that way and put efforts and expended resources of time and energy and money via your education, what you spent your time, whatever, improving yourself, learning a skill, trade, your career, setting up a business, and now the rules have switched. So not only is your entire decades of life that you've invested into the system now in question, the rules have changed. So you're depressed, you're sad, you're down. What you've been brought up with is now being turned around on you, and you're saying, well, wait a minute, what the hell? What did I live for? Not to mention the idea of the individual, the idea of liberty, the idea of self-reliance and independence is far superior to anything else, because it allows the individual, allows the man and the woman, I'm just using man as a gender-neutral thing, to achieve their greatest. You're born here, you're sentient, you're, hey, like I'm me, I'm Bob, I'm Bill, I'm Amy, I'm Sue. And what does Amy, Bob, or Bill or Sue want to go do? Well, it's whatever Amy, Bob, Bill, or Sue wants to do. But now it's changed. Now we're basically giving the finger to the forefathers and our founding fathers of liberty and freedom, saying, no, we want commune. No, we want other people to pay for it. We don't want the individual. We want a group. We want the commune to take care of us. And it seems that because this is a democracy and because of the election, the majority of people want to go that way. And the problem is that this is a democracy, and the people have spoken. And I do believe that this is really the way that the people want to go, despite, even if we were to back out the people that voted twice, namely Democrats and Socialists, or voted multiple times and cheated the system. Even if they didn't cheat, I still believe Barack Obama would have won, and the Democrats would have won more seats. Because that is the stupidity and ignorance of the voting population today. So this presents a problem to people who have been brought up under the traditional, classical, and I'd say correct ways of freedom, liberty, and individualism. How do you live in this environment? How do you live in this society? And not to mention a huge amount of depression. That's the natural consequence. So I wrote the book, Enjoy the Decline, to address this, but it's such a, I see it empirically, anecdotally, with my friends and myself. I can't say I'm like, I don't wake up every day like, yay, fucking socialist United States of America, yay, can't work to pay taxes. Since I see this happening in my friends, people I care about, my loved ones, that's why I wrote the book, Enjoy the Decline. But it dawned on me that this is such a problem. And it's very important that if people are being depressed, and I know people who are contemplating suicide, they really don't care. I think that this is very prevalent among people who are of the libertarian, conservative, and American-loving faith. That I had to do a video on it, not as necessarily a commercial for Enjoy the Decline, but to kind of address it here. At least, not to profit, but give you guys a little bit of hope, or kind of lay down the law, explain the new rules, and so that there is hope, so that we could fight this depression. Because I know many people that I'm friends with, they're depressed. You know people that are depressed. A lot of men, I'd say men are disproportionately affected by this. I ain't seen anyone, frankly. This is where talk radio is just failing miserably, and where I believe talk radio is getting to be a bunch of old fart men who, I mean, good Lord. Yay, let's go, Sean Hannity. Yeah, we're going to let's stop Obama Express. They really aren't putting their fingers on the pulse of the American conservative libertarian public and speaking, especially the youth. I mean, you old timers, you want to see where the market is failing, it's traditional established talk radio. And it's only the internet that I think is speaking to the youth, people under 40, that are addressing some of these serious unaddressed concerns. I mean, heck, the manosphere, you look at that, like all these boys growing up without fathers, that's where the internet has come in to help them. You don't see that with the Michael Medveds or the Dennis Pragers of the world. They did, and not to blame them. They're just old. They're not. I don't want to say hip or with it. They're just not paying attention because that's what radio does. But so let's talk about this. I want to get rid of the depression. I want to help people out here. One, you need to ask yourselves, why are you depressed, right? It's obvious the rules have changed. The social contract has changed. It used to be like, okay, I'm going to work really hard. I'm going to bust my ass off. I'm going to learn a skill, a trade, start a business. And now all of a sudden, it looks like 50, 60, 70% of your stuff is going to be confiscated. And so it's obvious that's causing depression for you because now your future is no longer certain. And not to mention, you wonder, did I just waste my entire life? What did I do all this for? Another thing is, I think, to understand why you might be depressed, aside from the obvious reasons, is a loss of control. Beforehand, the individual is in charge of their fate. And unless I understand, if you were impaired or crippled or mentally impaired, that's why charity would come in. But for people who were, imagine the amount of freedom that it's like, you know what, kid, you ain't got no limits. You go do whatever you want. You go and you get to run that ball as fast and as far as you can. And that meant you had control over your own life. Well, when the government confiscates at minimum 50% of your income and applies all these rules and regulations, to the point that you got some dumbass Bloomberg over in New York telling you how many sodas you can drink. All those, it's like Gulliver's Travel. Gulliver, you remember the thing? No, all the little miniature people strapped them down. Even though there's this big, powerful guy, they strapped them down. And that's probably why you feel a little depressed, because you are no longer in control of your future. Slowly and surely, a higher and higher percentage of what is going to dictate and control your future is being taken away from you and given to the government. And not out of even altruistic or good intentions. Some people just don't like the fact you smoke or you drink. And it's a real scary proposition to think that there's a large enough percentage of the population that they vote in politicians who thinks it's their right and it's their jurisdiction to tell you what you can eat, what you can smoke. You're a private property owner, you can't have smoking there. So that's another reason why you're depressed, because the less and less control you have over your future, the less and less secure it is. And then if you look at how the government manages things in terms of, quote, social security, they call it social security. Think about the words social security, meaning your social lives are secure, not partying social, but like your financial aspect is social. Unfortunately, those politicians use such programs to get votes. They had never had any intention of actually making it a secure future for you. So a higher percent of your income, higher and higher percentage of regulations, limiting the actions that you can take, limiting your ability to provide for yourself. So that's why you're really scared about your future and why you're probably depressed, because your future is becoming less and less bright. If anything, it's becoming very dark if you look at the debt figures and the mismanagement of such Social Security, medical, Medicare, kind of euphemistically titled problems. Another thing, especially for us younger folk, I envy my stepdad. He's a vet from Vietnam, did 7 tours. And you've talked to them, you've met these guys. They're happy that they're dying. They're like, boy, I'm glad I'm not going to be around to see the end of this. And they really mean it. They're not being sarcastic. They're just happy. They fought for the country. They were brought up like, hey, well, the United States, they were in the heyday of the United States, Western civilization, and now it's collapsing around them. You know what? They don't want to see it. They don't want to see one of the greatest things die in the history of the planet, if not the greatest thing in the history of human history, a dying collapse. Now, for those of you who are 40 and under, you probably also remember the Reagan years, where it was like, yeah, we are the best. And we were. The United States was the greatest country in the world. And there was so much potential and hope and promise. And it wasn't even potential or promise. It was. Because the United States had delivered this. To the point that, I guess you could say, our generation or younger generations were brought up under this bubble to think that the United States And it wasn't not to think. It was at the point we defeated communism. We were the top dog. We were the only superpower. It was very clear to us what was needed, and it wasn't this evil. The left. Ignore the left. The left is always going to say, "Well, you're just excessive and oppressive, and you're stealing resources from the Africans." And blah, blah, blah. I mean, they're not even being intellectually honest, so dismiss that. It is through letting individuals think about how simple this is. People don't allow themselves to acknowledge the simple truth. If you let people do what they want, they're going to produce and create, innovate more than if you don't. If you oppress them, you hold them down, you regulate them, they're not going to be creative, they're not going to be productive. If you tax them at 60%, shit, I ain't going to work. I'm working as little as I can. I don't know why any of you guys are working that hard. So you should allow yourself to accept how obvious that is. That is the best way to have a society, is to let people be. Let them go and do their stuff. Go, do, produce. We don't care. And we're not going to enslave you. If you made $1 billion, we'll take $750 million. No. Go, do whatever. We're just going to make sure nobody invades us over here. And we're going to kind of keep things fair. We'll have a judicial system, stuff like that. That is, and forever will be, the optimal system, because you put the people first. You're saying, you know what? The people are going to come first, not the state, because truthfully, there is no such thing as a state. The state needs the people. If there are no people, then what is the state going to govern? I keep hounding this. I don't know why people don't pick it up. Because it's such a simple observation that totally undermines communism and socialism and everybody else who believes in the state is going to take care of them, that the state comes first, like the state is their God. When it is, you don't have a state unless you don't have people. So with that simple observation, you should have supreme confidence and pride in the fact that an ideology that puts the people first is going to be the most successful one, because that's where all creation, innovation, and economic production and wealth comes from, is the people, not the state. The state is merely a manager, not the asset unto itself that produces stuff. So if you're brought up under that system and you believe in it because it's true, not because it's a religion like going green or being your carbon footprint or whatever bullshit people are listening to now, and to see going from that to the socialist crap we have now in 20 years. I mean, 20 years ago it was 93, so Bush 2 came, Clinton was inaugurated, so 25 years. In 25 short years, you've gone from United States, freedom, Western civilization, let people be free, to the same repeat, albeit maybe on a slower progress, of socialism, of, the commune is more important, the group is more important, screw the individual, I don't care if you were born, I don't care if you're sentient, you owe other people stuff because you exist, and the commune is more important to you. Well, just like every other socialist system, that's going to fail. And you and I and everyone else who grew up, in the olden days, know that. And so you had these dreams probably like when you were in the 80s and the 90s, like, I'm going to become this great realtor, I'm going to become this great scientist, I'm going to become this great doctor, I'm going to become this great economist. And now the environment around you is not allowing for it. Well, your birthright was stolen. Your dreams were destroyed. Your dreams are stolen. Not because of anything you did. You were more than willing to put forth the effort. Hell, probably the worst thing you did is put forth the effort. And now the environment has changed. Because we're a democracy, the people, ignorant and stupid as they are, have voted, the Peggy Josephs because they're going to get a free mortgage and all this other crap they believe. They've changed it that now the economic production and capacity and innovation and lack of regulation and the vast expanse of go, do, there's nothing, just run as free as you want, that's gone. Now everything's going to be regulated more, taxed more. You don't have the incentive. And honestly, because we have so punished capitalism and production and innovation and entrepreneurship, there's no capital. You're not going to find people that want to do anything. Maybe over on the East Coast in California where you have these venture capitalists who are liberals. I never understood that. But inevitably, their ignorance of economic idealism or ideology will pay for them when no one wants to invest in the United States. I mean, shoot, right now there's $2 trillion sitting offshore in tax havens. You want to get the economy going now, maybe you eliminate corporate taxes and cut out with the anti-corporation bullshit. But I know that would go against your ideology. And you 23-year-olds recently graduated with your degree in philosophy know so much more than anyone twice your age. So, good luck finding a job and wondering why you're working as a barista. But, so you add all this up, And it's very understandable why you're depressed. Your future is over. You have no control over your future. And everything that you were told or brought up to believe in is now changing on you quite rapidly within 25 years, going from a capitalist nation to a socialist nation. So how do you adjust with that and how do you deal with that? Okay, here, it's not to plug my book, but I strongly recommend buying and reading Enjoy the Decline, because that's what the intention of the book is. But let me kind of give you at least the general theme of the book to at least put you on the right path, and if you want details, maybe you can pick up the book later, right? The simple question is, what are you going to do about it? Right? We've done everything. If you vote, you talk, you blog, you write, whatever you do, talk to your friends, you got the Facebook, you try. In the end, you got to say, okay, you know what? Obviously, the sales pitch of leftism will always be out the sales pitch of conservatism. Hey, I'm going to give you free cake and chocolate and ice cream. And conservatives say, like, no, go on a diet because we ain't got that much food. And the other thing that the left has going for them is they can always borrow against the collateral of the United States. Say, hey, we're the United States. It's a one-trick pony. It will fail in the end. But we can always borrow into the future. Because we're the United States. Why, we're the United States. We're the most capitalist nation in the world, blah, blah, blah. And people are like, yeah, they're the United States. They got the U.S. dollar, reserve currency. Oh, let's loan them money, trillions of dollars. The Chinese are suckers, by the way. But in any case, you can't beat that. It's like the mom and the dad to stereotyping. Yeah, I'm stereotyping. Go to hell. I'm done with you liberal people because there's no consequence of voicing out being truthful against you. The mom always tries to bribe with cake and cookies. The dad always tries to bribe, doesn't bribe. He disciplines and yells and disciplines. Everyone likes mom. Mom's like, here's some cake. Please be quiet. Okay, I'll let you go and play outside in the stand, but you can go to bed an hour later if you just be quiet. And how are childish people going to vote? Well, they're going to vote for Barack Obama because he's the idiot offering free cell phones and at least providing the illusion of you don't have to pay for your car or your health care or anything like that. You can't fight that. So here's the other thing. Are you going to, since you can't fight against it, you're going to acknowledge that fact that you can't fight against it? Or are you going to constantly try and fight against it anyway? And thereby waste your life. And this is what the key to my book is. You get one life on this planet. One. You're here. You're sentient. The ability to enjoy the decline is whether or not you can discern what's in your control and what's not in your control. Because if it's not in your control, why are you wasting a single calorie of energy trying to fight that or trying to change it? It's very clear that the American population, because of its education system, has been purposely dumbed down by leftists, by the National Education Association. And the fact that they are too fucking stupid that they swallow that bullshit whole, and parents cannot educate their children to be independent thought, that we have come to a critical mass now, that an incredible, spoiled little, incompetent brat who has no experience like Barack Hussein Obama can get elected, that's hopeless. That's a hopeless situation. So why you're trying to fight that, I don't know. I'm not saying you give up and you just join the Communist Party of the United States to maybe get yourself a favorable position later on in the apparatchik. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying for your personal life, while you're here on this planet, you're born, you had no say in it, your parents brought you in, you just kind of maybe became cognizant or sentient at the age of 2. Well, you're here. Look at your environment. Assess and accept what you do and do not control. You don't control democracy. Yeah, go vote Republican, go vote conservative. I'm not saying you don't give it a shot. Do what you need to do in that regard. But when the elections come back, that the people are too freaking stupid, and the illegal immigrants that come here and vote, and the immigrants that come, illegal or not, and they come here and vote for more money, because they're too stupid to realize that they are voting for the exact same shit that ruined their crappy country, which is why they want to come here in the first place. You're not going to stop that. So one, don't ruin your life getting worked up about something that you don't control. On the same line, don't get depressed over it. It's not your fault. Yeah, you were brought up to believe here in the United States. And this is your potential. But since you are the eagle surrounded by turkeys, here's your potential. You're limited. You're going to be regulated. You're going to have to pay your taxes for a bunch of parasites who don't really care to give a damn and give a work and don't care about becoming Americans or really being Americans. So what, you're going to try anyway so they can tax you and still keep you down here? You got to let go. You got to relax. You got to accept what is. And I'm not a defeatist, but let's look at the facts. Let's look at what happened. Look at demographics. Look at voting patterns. Look at the naivete and the idiocy of the youth today. The youth today, they vote for a guy who enslaves them with more deficit spending. I mean, you can't fight that ignorance. These idiotic OWS, Gen Y, Millennial, even Gen X types who vote for Barack Hussein Obama and the Democrats. I don't know, because they're too lazy to look up a budget? I understand they've been so uneducated and so brainwashed. The concept of deficit spending, and when you go up to a Gen Yer and say, generations before you, the Democrats, are mortgaging your future, they don't even understand the concept of mortgaging the future. They are really so level one thinking, so stupid. They actually believe, I just want to help the poor people. I want to have diversity. Whatever BS they've been fed. They never go beyond to think, oh, what's a trillion? Most of them don't even know what a trillion or a billion or a million difference is. We've talked about this. So, and they're too lazy to look up the internet. They'll spend hours on Facebook, but they'll never go to usgovernment.gov or usbudget.gov or federalbudget.gov, I think it is. So, where was it going with? How do you fight against such ignorance? These kids, these idiots, these morons, vote for a guy that's hurting them. That's how simple it is. I like to simplify things. I don't like to sugarcoat it, or I don't validate the left by trying to engage or give them some kind of pseudo credit that they're intelligent. They're not. You have brainwashed children voting to enslave and indebt themselves to trillions of dollars every year. They don't get it. They're so. How do you fight that? You don't. And you're burning. Why are you wasting? You're burning the engine without it. You're redlining it. Why are you worrying about that? Okay. So, accept what you do and do not control in your environment. Now, how then do you live your life? How do you go, well, this is where you buy Enjoy the Decline. But it's kind of in the title. I mean, if you're too lazy and you're too cheap to go buy my book, even though it's cheap on Kindle, think about that. You can't stop the decline, so you might as well enjoy it. So, I mean, there's an entire chapter in my book called Plunder. And it's just a how-to manual to collect as much government money as possible. And you might as well. There's no shame in it anymore. You did what you were going to do. You did the right thing. You tried your best. You went to school. You went to college. You learned a trade. You learned a skill. You tried a business. You worked real hard. You pay your taxes. And now these fuckers are going to go vote to take it all away from you? But take it from them. Go take and if suckers are too stupid to stop working, then fine, live off of them. Because the rules are over. Again, the social contract has been broken. And so you got to completely rethink your mind. I know it's moral and it's noble that you want to go and work hard and be an American, be the rugged individualist. But that is no longer the case. It just is. There's a great quote by Ayn Rand in my book, and you should get it just for that. But you got to change your mind. You got to change your approach because you are going to die. You get one life on this planet. And now the point has become, since amoral people have voted in an amoral douche and amoral representatives, to simply spend the money, play their game. It's done. Go gulp, man. It's over. Okay? So, live your life. Do what you want. Make as little money as possible. If you don't have kids, you're way ahead of the curve then. But if you do have kids, I can't give you advice. I don't know. I really can't. You shouldn't have had kids. What can I say? But for those of you that don't have kids, man, why work hard? You should just live for yourself. Make as little money as possible. And if you do happen to get lucky and make a lot of money, get the hell out of the United States. Go live somewhere else. Set up a company in Hong Kong. Hong Kong's more favorable than the United States. They speak English over there, too. There's tax havens. There's things to do. But unless you get lucky like that, there are other things. Get a motorcycle. Don't save for retirement. Are you an idiot? They're going to confiscate it anyway. I mean, or at least rescind the tax benefits. Look at the federal budget if you don't believe me. Look at Argentina, look at Bolivia, look at Bulgaria. Bolivia and Bulgaria. 2 B's. So you got to change your life to live for the now. And a lot of people criticize me for this. Be prepared to do the Smith & Wesson Retirement Program. If you don't know what that is, look it up on the internet. Smith & Wesson Retirement Program. It's a brilliant thing. Frees you up. You can live life. Because life is not about living until your end, living for the end and saving for when you're decrepit and old. It's about living today, okay? Carpe diem, I guess, is a way to put it. Right? The other thing, you want to talk about revenge, and I can understand why you'd want revenge on the left. And I go into way more detail and Enjoy the Decline. But you have to simply ask yourself the question, is the leftist ever happy? Because to be truly happy, it's not an issue of having money or other people's money. It's having the intelligence to realize what's going on, what is the real world like, and then understanding your position in this real world, and then seeing generally why you should be happy or sad. What's really going on, why you should be happy or sad. And I think clairvoyance and clarity and understanding what's happening is key to truth, or key to understand happiness. Because if you don't know that, it's always like a bubble. It's like you're happy for the wrong thing. Like I remember when I was younger, the dot-com mania was going really good. And my stock accounts were really high. Even though I knew it was a bubble, I was like, hey, look at that, I was happy. But the bubble burst. Knowing about PE ratios, knowing about bubbles, knowing what the real world is like, knowing the truth, you're going to be much more happier. The truth shall set you free, sort of a kind of thing. But if you want revenge on the left, just think about the world they live in. These kids, these leftists, take feminists. I love to pick on feminists because they're the quintessential example of a leftist that has let their ideology ruin their life. Just like you, even though leftists, you may not like them, they too only have one shot on this planet. They're going to die. Can you imagine? Like, look at the fat acceptance movement. And if you haven't heard of that, look it up. I'm not joking. I don't make this up. You can't, because it's so insane. These people are so lazy and so inconsiderate of other people. They're so selfish, so self-centered. They refuse to acknowledge that there are other people and that the greatest thing is interaction with other humans in their life. That they want to force men, primarily, it's women that are driving this thing, feminists, that want to force men to like fat chicks. I don't care how much communist propaganda you shove down our throats. Men ain't gonna like fat chicks. Now, who suffers there? Who suffers? The conservative man who, well, I'm so close-minded, I failed to like fat chicks in my life. Meanwhile, he's nailing hot, skinny chicks? Or is it the fat chick who has been so brainwashed by her leftist ideology to ignore reality and live in this bubble, a veritable bubble, a psychological bubble, if you will, to think that men are shallow and bad and evil for not liking fat chicks? Now, you could call it shallow, bad, and evil, but what's realistic? What's reality? Men are genetically programmed to like chicks that are in shape. End of discussion. And you women who don't like that statement, you have a problem with reality. I don't care how rude it is. It's not rude. It's truth. What's rude is being Oprah and lying to you about how men should like this or should da-da-da-da-da. No, what's really compassionate and nice and caring and loving is telling you the goddamn truth. But these fat acceptance chicks are going to be fat for the rest of their lives, fighting against something that isn't real and can never be achieved. And they ruin their life. Look at Dorkin, Andrea Dorkin, was that the gal? Look at all these feminists. Just forget Andrea Dorkin. Look at all these feminists in general. They're so pissed off, and the reason they're pissed off is because they're fighting their nature. They are programmed to like men. And now, some of them are lesbian. Okay, grant you that. Okay, then take that out. But most of these feminists, the reason they're not happy is because they're going against their nature. They're going against reality, and they're living a lie. And I always like to ask this question, I ask it in the book. Deathbed psychology. Does the feminist on her deathbed ever say, geez, maybe I played it the wrong way? Maybe I should have gone out with Bob Jones, even though he was, who knows, conservative, Republican, he was a nice boy, and I didn't like him because of his ideology or politics, or maybe I should have, learned to wear lingerie or stay in shape. Maybe I missed out on some great sex. I wonder if they ask that. And I also talk about, here's an interesting thing. You know what, and I'll let you read the book for it. I'm going to let you think about this. Why are there very few black people in national parks? Why don't you see African Americans in national parks? I've hit a ton of them. I know why. I know the answer. But you think about that. Why is that? And then, on a very closely related, I'll give you another clue. Look at Detroit. Or any inner city where blacks account for a disproportionate percentage of the population. What's it like to live that life as a leftist, black inner city, presumably voting for Barack Obama? I'm not talking conservative blacks. They exist. They would not be part of this discussion. But what's that like? You believe in this false god who doesn't deliver jack shit. If you look at standards of living, if you look at black income as a percentage of white income, it's actually gone down under Barack Obama. Blacks have suffered more under Barack Obama, using whites as kind of like an indexed measure. But they really like him. Why? Because he's black? Is that it? You're doing worse than you were beforehand. You're suffering under him. What's it like living that life? And that's where your revenge comes in. Not that you're being vengeful against women or blacks. I'm saying with a leftist mindset, you have to realize they're not living in the real world. And in doing so, they ruin the most important, precious thing they have on this planet. Their time on this planet. Their lives. Feminists don't get married to a nice guy because their ideology means more to them than anything else, even their own lives. Blacks suffer unnecessarily, living in shitholes like Detroit and Cleveland and Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. Not that there's bad, but like the crap part of town. Southside Chicago, they suffer more murder. Not that you're wishing this upon, not that this should be your revenge, but if you're looking for a revenge of ideology, like, you're winning. You're winning. And if you just go and you enjoy life and do it, even though there is no future, even though you're not going to have kids or whatever, you're going to enjoy a better life than these leftists, not because you wish murder or anything upon it, but because they don't live in the real world. They swallow whole this communist fucking propaganda bullshit, and they vote in morons and liars and cheats like Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, and Barack Obama. And it's not Barack Obama or Nancy Pelosi that are going to suffer. Shit, they're living the dream. It's their constituents that suffer, because the stuff that these people vote in and make policy does not result in the economic production and the increased employment prospects for these people. Oh, they say it, well, yeah, we're going to transfer money, we're going to da-da-da. That doesn't help the whole of the nation. It doesn't help the body of the country. It sacrifices one part of the body, one part of the country at the for another. That does not help overall organic growth if you want to consider the country a large human organism. So, I mean, if that's any kind of consolation, if you're a vengeful person, I am. I'm not going to say I'm some kind of holier than thou. Oh, revenge is. But no, I like seeing my enemies suffer. I like seeing driving. One of my favorite things to do is pass a Prius that's got the Barack Obama bumper sticker and turn in and look. They're always ugly. Well, not always. But 9 out of 10. I'm not joking. 9 out of 10 times. You look at a Prius driver, they're ugly. And they're never smiling. It's because they're living a lie. Because they're never going to be happy. There's always going to be an injustice. There's always going to be an unfairness in their mind. And what they are trying to achieve is not attainable. Because they've been so brainwashed to believe that, oh yeah, we're going to have this sweet kumbaya, egalitarian, communist bullshit. They're never going to be happy with it. They never will. So, understand, one, they're more miserable than you are probably. Two, if you accept and adapt to reality, yeah, things suck. Yeah, it's going to, but that doesn't mean, don't become a whiny little leftist. Enjoy your life. Even, disadvantage, all the unfair, fine. Okay, you know what? We're better looking, we're smarter, we're more fun, and we're going to live our lives because we know what's going on. We know what's real. Okay? So, you go get that motorcycle. You don't worry about contributing to your retirement plan. You go live your life. Because you're going to die. You're going to die soon. 40, 50, 60 years from now, whatever. You're going to die. And the hell if you're going to piss it away. No matter what, who's in charge of the office, the Oval Office, no matter who's in charge of the Senate or the state or the House of Representatives, you're going to go out, you're going to live your life. And you're going to live a better life than any piece of shit leftist ever could. Because at least you know. At least your life isn't based on politics. At least your life isn't, well, I'm going to go green. Think how sad that is. How fucking sad do you have to be that part of your core, part of your life is whether you get good fuel efficiency? I drive fuel efficient cars, you want to know why? To save money so I can go have more fun. These people actually piss away. They don't save money. A Prius, like if you save the money on it, you get a fuel efficient car that isn't electric, they lose money on a Prius. They're paying to feel good about a low carbon emission, and it's bullshit. It's all bullshit. How sad is your life that that's it? Or like you go green, or you pride yourself because you shop at Trader Joe's or Whole Foods. Are you kidding me? Think about that. I'm not ripping on these people. If anything, I'm trying to help them. Think about how sad their lives are, that is what they point to as a success, as what they're proud of. I mean, it's like the soccer mom or the trophy wife who's never achieved anything and has to point at, well, my husband's a surgeon and my son's a football star at high school. Yeah, but that just means they're just that much shallow and hollow and worthless as a human being. They're nothing, okay? So there's your revenge. And the best revenge you can have, beyond recognizing how shallow and pathetic these tree-hugging, going green, organic people are, is for you to take your finite life and go have fun. Not even maybe necessarily do anything productive with it. Just go have some fucking fun. Guys, go grab a girl, kiss her. Who cares? What's she gonna do? Hit you across the face? Girls, man, loosen up. Go, I don't know, kiss a boy. You wanna throw a guy for a loop? Just grab a guy you think's cute and kiss him. The guy won't even know what to do. That happened to me twice. It just kind of. But you don't know. What do you do? The girls are kissing you all of a sudden, and you're not against it either. You're kind of okay with that. But yeah. So hopefully my rambling has done some good. Also, I strongly recommend buying Enjoy the Decline. That's what the purpose of that book is to prevent you all from becoming sad and depressed. Our lives are too short, and we're too damn good at people. We're too damn sexy to die. You know why God ain't gonna let us die? We're just too damn sexy. Pretty. What was the quote? Someone will email it to me from Firefly. That's what it was. So, hopefully that helped. Go buy the book. Tell friends. If you have friends who are depressed, get them the book. Show them this video. Our lives are too fucking short. We're too damn pretty to be all depressed. Leave that up to the left and the liberals driving the Prius and having the middle-aged women with the gray hair and no makeup and their effeminate husbands and boyfriends. Toodles.